Alright, hopefully I'm not echoing, man. Hopefully. Hopefully I am not echoing. I'm the werehog, though. You know. And I'm back on this page again. Let's make sure this is right here before I get started. Let's make sure this is recording also. So, it's because I'm gonna upload this, do this quick Sonic talk. Late at night, while I can. My nose may be a bit stuffy, so excuse me if you hear a lot of snorting going on with my nose, but this is Sonic Talk episode 3. The first two parts are on my channel, just to clarify, not this channel, but on my YouTube actually. So, but yeah, I wanted to get into, screaming more, so that's why I, created this page and whatnot, just so I can, try to play around with the Sonic games and the way that I know how to, if that makes sense, so, but that's not gonna be tonight though, that's gonna be another night, another time, so, and yeah, I just want to share my thoughts and my gameplay. I think those are the main two things that I want to do for this channel. And I can't be too loud because I'm screaming this right now at nighttime where I am, so I cannot be that loud actually, but I'm trying to be like as good as I can sound. Hopefully there's no echoing though with the mic, so, but yeah, so yes, my name is the Werehog, and I do Sonic content, in case you did not know already. Now this is Sonic Talk episode 3, so I just want to get right into it because I already have a YouTube. I just created this channel to stream, and if anyone ever runs across my content and you enjoy it, then let me know, whatever. I'm just doing this for fun, so this is not like nothing serious that I want to do. I just love Sonic, so that's the main reason why I'm doing this. Whether a lot of people find me or they don't, I just want to get my content, because everybody has content obviously, but my content is for me, because the videos or the streams that I make, I do like watch my own stuff, so because I'm very particular like that, you know what I mean. So yeah, so I just want to get my content out because this is something I always wanted to do ever since I was a kid watching other YouTubers back then. But this is not what this Sonic Talk is about right now. I just want to get right into it actually. So I want to talk about Sonic Frontiers and Sonic 06 because I've seen a lot of discourse, and I just want to give my opinions on those two games in particular because and I'm not going to go into full detail about both because this is not like a full review or breakdown of those games, if that makes sense. I'm going to try to slow my voice down a bit because I talk fast sometimes. I don't know why. So with that being said, let me just check the thing right here to make sure it's right. Okay, so yeah, with that being said though, I've seen a lot of people say that, as a matter of fact, let me put the picture up on screen so I can make a correlation of what I'm talking about, just to keep it up while I'm actually doing this quick Sonic Talk stream, and I'm guessing this will be the platform on here where I like just play around with Sonic games, when I can, that is, or when I'm able to stream on here. I'm just gonna use this Twitch channel that I created to do such things, just to do it, and if anyone ever decides to comment or run across my streams or whatever the case may be, and you like what you see or you like my content or whatever the case may be, I don't know, then I will engage with that if that time ever does come. But since I'm still very new at this, just not streaming but just doing content overall, and I don't really have a lot of followers or a lot of people that I can interact with, because I just don't want to have followers. I want to have like real people I can interact with, you know what I mean? So I'm just not looking at numbers, if that makes sense to you, you know. I just want to make sure though that this is just right before I just get into it though. So give me 1 second actually. So alright, so this should be almost right. Just make sure that, let me see. Okay, hopefully that is right, hopefully. So alright, let me see, because I'm thinking it should be. Just gotta make sure I get this up on the screen so I talk about this right fast. Hopefully I can articulate this in the best way though. Alright, that should be right there. Yeah, so I just want to leave this image up while I talk about this, so so it should be good. Okay. Alright. Okay, so alright. So yeah, I want to get into it then. So Sonic Frontiers versus Sonic 06. I'm just gonna put it like that. Sonic Talk episode 3 or part 3 or whatever you want to call it. This is what I'm gonna name this one. So actually press the record button, or you know what, maybe not. I'm just gonna probably upload this to my YouTube platform as well, so I'll just go up on both. I guess, you know, it can be archived, since I don't think I can have it archived on here, you know, at least for right now at least. So but yeah, I want to talk about those two because like a lot of people I've seen a lot of people say that Frontiers is better than 06, and I just want to break this down in a short way possible. I could go deeper into detail, but I just don't think got the mental capacity for that right now, late at night while I'm doing this right at the moment. So I'm gonna try to do this as best way that I can break it down, if that makes sense. So with that being said, Sonic Frontiers is a very fun game. It's a very ambitious modern Sonic game. This the most ambitious modern Sonic game that we have gotten in the last decade. You know what I mean? And I know that's not really saying much when you're comparing it to the likes of, you know, Sonic Generations or Sonic Goterations, I should say, because that game is goated. You know, so it's not saying much when you're comparing Frontiers to Lost World or Forces or whatever the case may be. But I want to put this in the best way that I can. Like, Sonic 06 is the better game to me, because I really like 06 in my opinion, even though the game is flawed. And I'm talking about the original OG version of Sonic 06, you know. And what I mean by that, and the best way that I can shorten this and not make this too much long, that I'm actually talking about this, is the core foundation of what 06 actually was. Now I'm just doing this off the top of my head, so I did not write any of this down. It's just coming straight off the top of my head. Sonic 06 was a very ambitious Sonic game from when it came out, for the 360 and PlayStation 3. You know, I did not grow up with Sonic 06 in no way, shape, or form. You know, so I don't have no nostalgia towards 06 as a kid. I grew up in the 2000s, so I'm a 2000s kid, but I did not play Sonic 06 at that time. I first played Sonic 06 during the COVID era, if that makes sense. And you know what year that was, you know, so I don't have to get into that. But that's when I played Sonic 06, you know. Hopefully they don't mess up my screen for like saying the word, you know, or whatever. But that's when I first played Sonic 06, is back in 2020. And I come to realize that that game is, to me, in my opinion, personally to me, is the closest to what I would have wanted 3D Sonic to be in this fully realized state. And what I mean by that is, I think 06 would have been the universally perfect 3D Sonic game if it was all the way polished, all the way. And this topic can go all the way back to 20 years ago, almost, pretty sure. And I'm not gonna get that deep into that right now, but I'm just trying to make this a long story short, if that makes sense. So I'm not trying to go deep into it, even though I could. But yes, Sonic 06 to me would have been the perfect 3D Sonic game, and it would have been the perfect 3D Sonic game universally to everybody else in the whole world, if that makes sense. You know, and the reason it failed is because of the lack of polish that the game had, the state that the game released in on those consoles. Now, I don't condone how that game came out to be in terms of the frame rate, the slowdowns, and whatever other problems people was having playing that game back in those days, back then on the real hardware, you know. When I say I like the OG version, I didn't grow up with the OG version on consoles, right? So I first played it on Xenia, which is, you know, the Xbox 360 emulator, you know. So that's the first way I personally experienced Sonic 06. And again, I know that's not the original experience that people had, because I looked at gameplay of how the game ran on real hardware, and yes, I don't condone the slowdown or none of that. Like, I understand the problems that people have with that, but the core foundation of the gameplay and the level design and the movement is what I personally like about Sonic 06, and why it comes close to me as the perfect 3D Sonic adventure style game that it never lived up to be, if that makes sense, you know. And to expand on that, the level design in the game is perfect to what I like. I like the adventure era gameplay over the boost. So that's my preferred gameplay style of Sonic, if that makes sense. Or it was my preferred gameplay style of 3D Sonic, you know. Before they introduced the boost, with Sonic Unleashed, if that makes sense. Now, um, with that being said, you know, um, Sonic 06, again, the platforming in the game, the levels, the music, the controls. I like the controls of 06, and yes, I know a lot of people don't like the controls. I like the controls of Sonic 06. You know, I think it's very tight in my opinion. Yes, it's not the most polished. Yes, it has problems, but I like it because of how it feels. I like the slow motion homing attacks. I don't think that's a bug. I just think that's the way they made the game. You know, and even if you look back to the early I think it's called the Tokyo Game Show footage of 06. Um, it showed gameplay of Kingdom Valley, right? And it was slow motion even in that, you know, from what I seen of from what's out there, right? So I don't think that's a bug. I just think that's the way they intended the homing attack to be. Now I could be wrong on that, and I could be, you know, but I just feel that that was the way they intended the homing attack to be in that game, in my opinion. You know, when you talk about the level design, it's similar to Sonic Heroes level design, which is the GOAT. That's my favorite Sonic game of all time. That's my favorite 3D Sonic game, period. You know, it's similar to that in a way, and it's similar to Adventure 1 in ways of what 06 was trying to do, you know what I mean? And those three games together combined, I think it's in like if they would have took aspects from all those three games combined and made 06, it would have been the universally perfect 3D Sonic game in my opinion, especially coming out at that time in the mid 2000s, the realistic graphics and all of that stuff. Like, and people was, from what I remember seeing when I was younger on YouTube, like a lot of people was looking forward to that game before it released, you know. And I just think it would have been the universally praised 3D Sonic game. I think it would have been even more praised than Sonic Adventure 2 was if it would have came out in the right way from what I remember seeing, if that makes sense, you know. So, but that's just my thoughts. That's just my takes. You know what I mean? So I'm just gonna keep that for that, you know, for my thoughts and for yours or whoever come across these vids or these streams of my content, you know. So what else I want to say regarding Sonic 06? The core foundation of what 06 is what I enjoy about the game, you know. And like I said, I don't want to keep repeating a dead horse, but again, I think if it would have came out perfectly, it would have been the universally praised Sonic game, the 3D Sonic game, I think. And I don't even think Unleashed would have been a thing. I just think they would have did it again, I think, you know, but even refined it even more in terms of the adventure style gameplay, you know, which 06 was a part of, you know, whether you want to admit that or not, but it was, you know. So Sonic Frontiers, on the other hand, because I want to compare the both. This is not really going in depth about 06 or Frontiers, but I'm just trying to compare the both from my opinions, just to share them, right? Because I see people saying Frontiers is better, and why you can say that in certain ways, I just don't think so, because I think Frontiers peaked with the second island, and that's Ares Island, and after that the game just kind of went downhill in terms of quality, if that makes sense. And I don't think that, you know, the game just had problems in terms of the quality aspect of it, and that's like, you know, and I'm not even talking about just gameplay. I'm just talking about, again, the foundation of the game itself. And you could tell by the time you get to the third island, they started forcing you in 2D. You know, they had to cut corners with that, even though the Chaos Island was a very good island, minus the forced 2D, which that was 90% of that island, unfortunately, in my opinion. Now, if you like 2D, then that's okay, but, you know, I don't want 2D in my modern, you know, 3D Sonic game. You know, I just don't want it. So, let me make sure this is right fast, because I'm just yapping on, and I hope this doesn't, like, freak up on me, man, you know. So I really do hope this doesn't mess up on me. So, alright. So this should be right now. Alright, I just want to make sure this is right, because check something on my phone right fast too, actually, while I'm doing this. But yeah, I'm trying to get back on topic. But yeah, I think Frontiers they skimped out on reusing like Chronos 3 times in the game, basically. The Force 2D on the Chaos, it just had problems that I don't think was, they couldn't fully realize Frontiers. And you could say the same about 06, but 06 didn't reuse levels, right? It didn't like cut, I don't feel the game cut any corners in terms of that, in terms of the levels, right, and their environments and stuff like that. You may say, you maybe can say the hub areas, maybe, because you could tell those was really unfinished all the way, but that's a whole nother topic in itself, so I'm not gonna go deep into that. But but I just think that Frontiers peaked with the second island and peaked with the Final Horizon. In my opinion, I think the first island, the second island, which is the best island in the game to me personally, and the Final Horizon, I think those are the best aspects about Frontiers, and the controls in the open zone. Those are the 3 best aspects about Frontiers in my opinion. And you may can say the enemies on the base version of the last island, maybe because it's difficult, but I don't think you should have waited the whole game to get to like the last island to fight like difficult enemies, because one of my criticisms of Frontiers is the game was too easy in my opinion before the Final Horizon, and you had to wait all the way till you get to the last island for some type of difficulty. I just don't think that was the right move to make, because again, if you are not younger and you play older Sonic games, then you know that again the difficulty used to already be there prior to that, or some type of skill ceiling, right? And that's what Frontiers was lacking in my opinion, was those 2 main things. But again, this is not a Frontiers in-depth review or look on. I'm just trying to compare to both of my opinions and why I like 06 more, if that makes sense. And yeah, let me just make sure this is right here, because I'm getting all into this, man, because I like to go in depth even when I'm not even trying to go in depth right now, but I tend to still go in depth anyway. Let me just make sure that this is right here. Just don't want this to mess up on me at all, because I just know how streams do you sometimes. So just want to make sure. Okay, so it's like it's still all right for this time period. Okay, so but yeah, 06, it just has the feel to me. I can't explain what that feel is, and also like it has everything to do with everything, if that makes sense. Everything to do with everything. The music, the levels, the feel of the game, the level design, the voice acting. I'm not a fan of the modern voice cast of Sonic like that, so that's also a negative for Frontiers as well to me, because I'm not a fan of Roger's voice of Sonic. He's okay, I don't hate him or anything, but he's just not my favorite Sonic voice. His best performance was in Generations, in my opinion, and I'm not even talking about cutscenes, I'm just talking about grunts in the levels. Like, that's the best Roger, in my opinion, in a Sonic game, is in Generations, in the levels, but with that being said, 06 had, everything that that I like. And again, this is not nostalgia, so because I didn't grow up with 06. I played it back in 2020 when I was 20 years old, actually, right? So this is not any nostalgia. I just like the base core foundation of 06 gameplay and levels and level design, and how Sonic feels in that game, even if it's not the most polished, but I don't think it's horrible as people make it out to be either. But again, I cannot excuse my non-existent problems, because I did play the game on an emulator, so I didn't really experience the real horrors of what I seen of the game on real hardware, on videos and stuff like that. So when I looked at Sonic 06 on real video, on real hardware from a video, from what I used to see back then, yeah, I get why people wouldn't like it. It has the slowdown, it was horrible. I don't see how Sonic Team released the game in that state like that. But Xenia does polish it all up, in my opinion. It does. If you do have a way to play it on Xenia, because I know the game is getting decompiled or recompiled, that is. So until that happens, if you got a PC or whatever the case may be, and you got some type of way to play it on an emulator, I think that's the best way to play the original 06 if you like the original. Now I know PO6 exists, and that's a whole nother topic, but this is about the original 06, because I like the original 06 more than PO6, because PO6 to me is not the same game as the original. But I'm not gonna get into that tonight. But I'm yapping about this basically. With the Sonic talk or whatever the case may be. So also, with that being said, I just think I like 06 more because, again, like, it takes aspects from the GOAT, which is Sonic Heroes. It takes aspects from the OG GOAT, which is Adventure 1, and I won't say combine those together, but it takes a little bit of aspects of both of those games and just mix them together in a perfect way, even more so than what Adventure 2 ever did. And I like Adventure 2, but I still put 06 over Adventure 2 in areas, okay? And that's just how I feel personally towards 06. I just really, really like Sonic 06 a lot, and it's close to like my perfect, what a perfect 3D Sonic game would be, in my opinion. Just like Heroes is the perfect 3D Sonic game, right? To me. So it comes close to that, in my opinion. So I think that's the best way I want to get that off of my chest. And Frontiers, why, again, it's a fun game, it's just lacking in certain things that I cannot, like, I guess, put it over 06, in my opinion. That you know what I mean? And I just can't do it. I know it's the latest modern 3D Sonic game to come out within the last 3 to 4 years now, right? But I just can't put it over 06. I just think 06 is better, and I won't say every way, but in certain ways it's better. So with that being said, though, this is a quick Sonic talk. I don't want to make this long because I could go more in depth about 06 and why I do like it a whole lot. Individual levels, the voice acting, the music, the controls. I could go more in depth into that, but I may do that at another time, something like that. But I just want to do this quick Sonic talk because of those two things only. So, and I do intend on streaming more on here, just playing around with Sonic games in general, when I'm able to, that is, because I don't actually have a set time that I want to stream, but I may fix that really soon, though I have to see it, so. But yeah, I think that's the quicker way I want to explain both of those, and I don't even think that's the best way I can even interpret this with this topic, even with this topic alone, because I'm doing this late at night, so I'm kind of tired at the moment, but I still wanted to get this out. So I didn't want to let this page die either, because I created this page like a year ago, and I just was figuring out the best way to do this, because I was figuring out how to even just use the mic properly, right? So I was having problems with that for weeks, but it was just me learning things, right? So I had to take some time to really get into the groove of doing this, and just playing around with this, if that makes sense as well. So but yeah, quick little stream though, not nothing too long. When I tend to play a game, or a Sonic game I should say, I tend to stream way longer, even though I don't try to do it. I try to stream at least an hour or 2 or 3 max at times, but when I'm able to. But yeah, I just want to make this a quick little stream, because I actually gotta make sure that something is right after this. So, but anyway, I think this is it. I think that's all I want to say though, and those are just small aspects of why I like 06 more. You know, it's because of the level design, the gameplay, the platforming. I just think it's still way better than Frontiers, you know. And Frontiers is still very fun, but the peak of Frontiers is the second island and the final horizon. Those are the peaks of Frontiers, in my opinion, you know. So, and you know, but again, that's a whole nother topic in itself with Frontiers, right? But anyway, I'm just gonna end it off with that though. So, but yeah, I think that's all I have to say regarding this little short Sonic Talk vid here / stream, I guess. I guess it's gonna be both. With that being said, though, hopefully soon I can be able to get on here more. I want to continue Sonic Rush as well, because I was streaming that on my YouTube platform, but I just want to do more of that, to play around with the levels, just to see can I go for good runs, you know, just for casual runs, right? Not casual runs, go for a good to decent run for my standards, I should say, for my standards, you know. But just try to go for good decent runs, you know, casually, if that makes sense, just for fun, you know. I mean, that's the main reason I just wanted to do this in the first place. So yeah, but with that being said, I think that's all that I have to say regarding this topic here for this quick Sonic Talk part 3 or episode 3 or Sonic Talk 3. To next time though, hopefully really soon I'm able to get on here and just start streaming more and more and more when I have the time to, that is. To next time though, I think that's all I gotta say. So I am the Werehog. I love to ride for the Werehog, and as they say, we ride.